Brisbane conference ends with strong investor confidence in PNG. Plans for Jiwaka capital awaiting approval. And Prime Minister flags review on imported food ban.
This is National EMTV News with Tokana Hasavi.
A very good evening to you and thanks for joining me with Friday's news. The PNG Advantage Conference in Brisbane, Australia wrapped up today and the consensus amongst the private sector is unanimous. Papua New Guinea is still a lucrative investment hub. EMTV's Leanne Gerari with more.
More than 300 delegates from PNG and across the Pacific attended the two-day summit at the Brisbane Convention and Exhibition Centre. The summit showcased business and investment opportunities in PNG across all sectors of the economy, including petroleum, mining, agriculture, business and finance. European oil and gas giants Total and Repsol voiced their optimism about Papua New Guinea as an investment destination and are committed to commercializing their discovered gas resources. Both companies are recent additions to PNG's oil and gas landscape. Total is the operator of the proposed Papua Liquefied Natural Gas project, while Repsol acquired Talisman Energy, which has built up a fairly large gas resource in the Western Province.
I don't believe it has shaken the confidence of the investors. It's a good country, it's business friendly, but it means that both from Papua New Guinea and from the investors, we have to be very careful about how we do things, how we spend money. And it's very important because the times are quite rough, that we are saving on every penny and be sure that we are sizing everything the right way and not overspend. So it's important both for Papua New Guinea and for us that we are very strict and very disciplined in doing this.
Celebrating more than 25 years in Papua New Guinea, CPL Group's Mahesh Patel also showed renewed optimism in the country. Addressing fear-monger reports, he passionately added that comparisons between PNG and Greece are absolute rubbish.
I think we're in an industry where it's a basic necessity. If you look at food, if you look at pharmaceuticals, if you look at with Jacks, with clothing, with hardware, with home building. So it's all part of a nation building, and I think again, you look at the economic indicators. I mean, we just heard the Prime Minister this morning at the PNG summit to say our projected GDP growth was 15.5. It slowed down, but it slowed down only to 11%. I mean, this is tremendous growth for any country in the world. So I think you need to have a positive outlook. And in PNG, it's very easy for people to get very negative very quickly about a little blip. But as I said, we've always had a very long-term attitude and very positive.
Leanne Gerari, National EMTV News, Brisbane.
The IPBC Act has been repealed as a result of the enactment of the Kumul Consolidated Holdings Bill. According to Minister for Public Enterprise and State Investments, Ben Micah, as early as next week, the Kumul Consolidation Agenda, which includes the Kumul Petroleum Holdings, Kumul Mining Holdings and Kumul Consolidated Holdings, will be activated.
The Kumul Consolidation Agenda, as it has become known, has been on the cards publicly since April 2013, when Prime Minister O'Neill first announced plans to reorganize and consolidate state assets into 3 independent companies: the Kumul Petroleum Holdings, Kumul Mining Holdings, and Kumul Consolidated Holdings. Minister Ben Micah in Brisbane for the PNG Advantage Conference exclusively told EMTV that a letter was sent to the Governor-General before he left for the gazetteers to be activated, and this should happen by early next week.
And the government ensures that there is security and safety of the citizens, provides the budget to build roads, but business has to be left in the hands of business people in the private sector. So because the government has come up with a policy that it has to all the interest of the people of Papua New Guinea in trust, and therefore it has to participate in business. The Kumul Trust and the Kumul holding companies have been established to conduct the business of the government together with the private sector under commercial rules and in a commercial environment. And in the next weeks that will ensure we will put the necessary processes and systems in place, which we will then announce to the media.
Following the passage of enabling legislation in the last sitting of Parliament, the long-awaited restructure of state assets and enterprises under the Kumul name is set to begin, with Prime Minister O'Neill setting a target of 1st January 2016 for the transfer of state assets to their new homes. I'm Leanne Girardi reporting for National EMTV News, Brisbane.
Number One Super Limited today announced a partnership agreement with Post PNG that will allow members to access Number One Super products and services at selected post offices nationwide. Under this agreement, members will be able to check their statements, housing advance eligibilities, and to submit applications.
Thank you, Number One Super. Chairman.
The partnership will now lift the numbers of Number One Super branches from 17 to 30. Board Chairman Anthony Samara tells MTV that this was a great step for both Number One Super and Post PNG, allowing them to give more opportunities to their customers.
It means that we will leverage off Post PNG's unparalleled distribution network. As you know, they have, I think, 30 branches all over the country, from provincial capitals to major districts. The arrangement that we've reached with Post PNG is to place our branches or sub-branches in those post offices where we don't currently have a location, and in some of the others where we have locations, transitioning our branches into the post offices.
Post PNG Chairman Ruben Ayla believes that this gives Post PNG a chance to be more innovative with their business, since the era of letters is slowly coming to an end in PNG, where everything now is electronic.
For us, as you know, the postal industry needs to be innovative to sustain its business. As you know, people don't post letters anymore, and sorting letters locations are shrinking. So for us to grow and synergize is to partner with organizations, and I think
Number One Super have already trialed 2 pilot projects in Medang and Kiunga, and Samara has said that they have been a success. Thanks to Post PNG's innovative management team and their already well-established 30 branches around the country.
They have an amazing IT network, and IT services. We get to leverage of that. They have great security, and they've great location for their branches. So we get to locate in the post offices. If you look at all the post offices, they're always in the middle of town. It's fantastic locations, so very accessible. All the bus stops are nearby. And people are already used to going to post offices to get their mail. This is just that, that addition. Now they can get access to their accounts and other things.
Adelaide Siraks Kari, National EMTV News.
A plan for the proposed township for Jiwaka's headquarters at Kurumul is awaiting final approval from the Physical Planning Board. The 200 hectares of land has been subdivided into different sections to cater for both residential and commercial activities. Planning for the township took almost 2 years to complete, and purchase for the land will cost the state close to 24 million kina.
When Kurumul was first suggested as the provincial headquarters for the new Jiwaka province 2 years ago, many opposed the decision, saying it should be either in the existing towns of Minch or Bants. But it was the vision of the province's first governor, Dr. William Tongam, who wanted Kurumul to serve as the headquarters. Kurumul was approved by the National Executive Council, and the title for these 200 hectares of land will be handed over to the Jiwaka provincial government once approval is granted by the Fiscal Planning Board. In an interview this morning, Governor Tongam said though it was a tough decision, the vision will be realized in the next 10 to 20 years.
Very tough decision. I had to take some responsibility of that decision. We had Bants and we had Minch, and we also had Kuchip. Minch and Bants were basically the leading candidates for the town. First decision was based on economics. From Laydown to Tari or Wabek, all the provincial headquarters sites and the main cities are on the Highlands Highway, and that's where the economic lifeline is. We would be wrong to bring our provincial headquarters for Jiwaka away from the Highlands Highway.
Included in the plan are all the different sections and allotments where interested parties can apply to lease from the provincial government, along with the Kurumul township, with all necessary facilities, including school, health center and police station.
Appreciating what we are trying to do. So probably with the final plan coming out after the physical planning board decision. And once when they get a clear picture of how it is going to look like, I think they'll appreciate more what we're trying to do.
Meanwhile, the temporary headquarters is completed and ready for public servants to occupy. By the end of this year, key government agencies, including state-owned enterprises, should have taken residence.
It's just we've got to look at the commercial part of it, look at the recreation part of it, residential part of it, education part of it, and administration part of it. So it's basically we are trying to move around so that we have an administrative area where the provincial administration building stands, and then you have the additional government functions.
Governor Tongam said given its strategic location, Kurmul will be used as the central spot to reach out to other centers of Jiwaka. Michelle Amba, National EMTV News.
Among more stories after this break, provincial disaster teams urged to send in their reports. Also, the National Disaster Office calls on provincial disaster officers, Prime Minister to review the ban on imported fruits and veggies, and missing persons from the Bougainville crisis remembered. Stay with us for those stories and more. Good to have you back with the news. National Disaster Committee Chairman Dixon Guina is urging all provincial disaster officers to send in their reports of the current disaster. He said to date, the National Disaster Office has only received reports from 4 provinces. They include Western Highlands, Enga, Simbu and Central. From the reports received, his office is yet to verify reports of 4 deaths in Simbu province due to the dry spell. This will be verified by a team deployed to the highlands carrying out assessments on the impacts of the El Niño. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill says he may review a recent ban on importing Australian fruit and vegetables into the country. Earlier this month, fruit and vegetable imports from Australia and New Zealand were banned amidst droughts and fears of a food shortage.
And finally, just a note.
Prime Minister O'Neill in Brisbane for the PNG Advantage Conference said he believed local food producers were able to meet local demand, but said they had experienced coordination issues. Frost and droughts have wiped out subsistence crops in the highlands areas, and hundreds of villagers are facing months without food if they do not receive help.
Yeah, yesterday, Cabinet met briefly to allocate further 25 million kina. Which includes the 5 million kina that is already allocated. Today we are now supplying food to many communities where they have run out of food. But we are encouraging people, Papua New Guineans, we've got a very strong one-talk system and community-based system to support each other in these difficult times.
Prime Minister O'Neill said on Thursday the government had pledged another 25 million kina to help deal with the emergency. The additional funding follows Prime Minister's visit on Tuesday to drought-hit areas like Tambul, Mendi, and his own electorate Yalibu Pangia to assess the progress of aid distribution.
My visit to Tambul on Tuesday and to Mendi and to my own electorate Yalibu Pangia on Tuesday, I met with the communities, I met with the people, I met with the public servants, I met with the CEOs of those districts. They all say the same thing. They don't need money, they need food and they need supplies of water, medicine and those that we can support. And that's what we are doing today.
Lian Jarari, National EMTV News, Brisbane.
The Sinasina Yongomul district is cutting down some of its 2015 project funding to divert to aid relief in drought-stricken areas of the district. Sinasina Yongomul MP Karinga Kua says the District Development Authority will meet to announce which projects are to see funding cuts. MP Kua says the people must be ready to accept the move so relief assistance can be provided. Meanwhile, MP Kua called on the national government to include Sinasina Yongomul in any aid relief grants or programs. Over 65,000 people were badly affected by the droughts. Fresh calls have been made to the national and autonomous Bougainville governments to work closely with families of missing people to identify and repatriate bodies of loved ones. Miriam Solomon, a mother who lost her son during the Bougainville crisis, made this call during the International Day of the Disappeared, which was commemorated in Arawa today. MTV's Fabian Hakelitz reports from Arawa.
In darkness and still waiting is the theme chosen by families of the missing persons. They turned up in numbers to commemorate the International Day of the Disappeared, their loved ones who remain unidentified because of the Bougainville crisis. The International Day of the Disappeared was commemorated with different activities. First, a silent march around Arrow Town to photo exhibition. Bougainvilleans are still asking questions about the fate of their loved ones.
And we know that very soon, by me meeting all loved ones, there is coming a day by you me meeting all loved ones belonging me.
So gaman look long this all heavy blow, papa mama blow missing persons. This will be still a big problem.
Issue of missing persons is just a beginning to be recognized as a humanitarian priority in PNG by all stakeholders, including both governments.
Awareness is just beginning of the importance of resolving this question, and stakeholders all around are beginning to mobilize.
ICRC supports the creation of missing persons family associations, remembrance ceremonies, raising awareness and advising authorities in the autonomous Bougainville government and Papua New Guinea to address this issue. In Arawa, Fabian Hakalitz, National EMTV News.
The national goals and directive principles of PNG are being used as a rubber stamp in development policies. That's according to academic Patrick Kaiku of the University of Papua New Guinea. Mr. Kaiku reached this conclusion after conducting a comparative analysis of the Vision 2050 and the national goals and directive principles.
Kaiku says while the proposal by Vision 2050 to encourage broad-based economy aligns with the national goals and directive principles, the strategies of development that are a big part of Vision 2050 do not support the values of the national goals and directive principles.
Land is a very important component of our culture and social identity and our cultural organizations. 3%, freeing up of 3% of customary land as proposed in the Vision 2050 between the period of 2010 to 2020 will leave, a lot of landless Papua New Guineans. There is no guarantee that the economic self-reliance and cultural continuity will happen.
Kaiku's analysis also brings up issues such as the legality of Vision 2050.
Parliament has not passed any enabling legislations to make it legal. There has not been any constitutional amendments to make this Vision 2050 a legitimate document in terms of how it is implemented.
Kaiku says this can mean that this development blueprint that is supposed to guide PNG's development for the next 40 years is unconstitutional. He says the national goals and directive principles are the ideology that is supposed to guide the nation and recommends that they be part of the education curriculum.
And we may use our understanding of the national goals and directive principles to be critical of what our officials write, the policy documents.
Mr. Kaiku's paper is part of a series of discussions that the School of Humanities and Social Sciences have initiated to contribute towards political discussions in PNG. Sarah Aupong, National EMTV News.
Well, it's been 14 months since the central bank imposed a trading ban to support the weakening kina, at the same time acting to restrict the margins being made by the country's foreign exchange dealers. After depreciating significantly to the US dollar in the following months, Governor Loy Bakani still has no plans to lift the ban.
We see that the behavior in the market is normalized, and the trading ban is or the discipline is intact within both the players and the foreign exchange dealers. Then we'll consider adjusting or making change to the trading ban. As it is, it's in place now. Whether the kina going down further will attract foreign exchange, it's an issue that I'm contesting with certain commentators, because if the kina goes on further, it'll be probably to the detriment of inflationary pressures, which is not a good thing for several million people.
And now we check out the finance news. The Kina closed 30 points lower at $0.3565 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, our Kina was trading at $0.3520 $0.4879 Australian dollars, $0.3094 euro, and 42.21 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold closed the day lower, while coffee, copper and cocoa closed the day higher. Palm oil and copper closed higher as well, while crude oil closed the day lower. And finally, on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 369 points lower, the ASX closed at 64 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 61 points higher as well. Still to come on National EMTV News tonight, tensions high at the University of Jiwaka while students continue their strike at the University of Natural Resources and Environment at Woodhull in East New Britain. Stay with us. Good to have you back with National EMTV News. Well, tension is still high at the University of Jiwaka as students wait for the release of at least 7 students, including the SRC president, from the Jiwaka town jail. There are 10 students nursing pallet wounds at the hospital, while a police unit maintains a presence outside. MTV's Bethany Harriman reports from Jiwaka.
These pictures taken this morning, police mobile squad members patrolling the perimeters of the university's campus. The same unit accused of shootings yesterday have been maintaining a presence since the altercation with students that turned violent when members of the public reacted to police stopping protests held by students in Jiwaka town. This morning, students still gathered at the newly built dormitory courtyard awaiting the release of 7 students, including the SRC president from Jiwaka jail. These pictures show the damage done to the campus by students yesterday afternoon when police opened fire on them during the protest. The incident yesterday has received attention from Hanganafi MP and Police Minister Robert Atiafa. He says he wants a detailed report sent to his department so that investigations can start into why police fired shots at students during the protest. The injured from yesterday are in hospital under police surveillance. They include a male student from the Jiwaka province with a bullet wound to the eye. 9 others are getting treatment for pellet wounds. Students are getting treatment at the Jiwaka hospital. 2 female students are amongst the injured. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News, Jiwaka.
And the student boycott at the PNG University of Natural Resources and Environment has dragged on to its 2nd day. The sit-in strike comes after students discovered that they have been paying more to the university than what is expected by the Office of Higher Education. Students are appealing to the Office of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology to investigate alleged mismanagement within the university's administration.
The start of the 2nd semester for the university began with another boycott of classes over an issue that began about a month ago. This time, an increase to the tuition fees prompted a sit-in strike. The general sentiment that fueled the boycott was the 20% increase to the payment of tuition fees to the university. This means if a student is under academic excellence scholarship, he or she is entitled to pay only 40% of the university fees, while the 20% from the government's TFF fund should be reimbursed to the students and their parents. But that hasn't been the case for UNRE.
We are totally confused as to how these fees were increased, sudden increases. We want to ask and question the Department of Higher Education and the government as well, whether is it correct to increase the school fee in the middle of the year without letting the stakeholders know.
The 20% has been forfeited by the administration and put towards the operation of the institution instead of reimbursing the students.
We want the department to come out and clearly explain to the students and the staff whether these changes are correct and right or not.
It's understood the administration snubbed an off-campus meeting and approved the new fee structure without consulting the Office of Higher Education and relevant stakeholders.
It's almost a month now.
After the issue was brought to light, angry students mobilized, boycotted classes yesterday and demanded an explanation from the university's bursar.
What we are doing now will continue because The explanation that is coming out from the administration is totally not satisfying the students.
It's understood numerous letters of inquiry submitted by student leaders to the administration were ignored. Today, the student body maintained their stand and continued the boycott. In a previous boycott 4 months ago, students have also protested against maladministration of the university's operation. Attempts to get a response from the university's administration were unsuccessful. Edwin Fidelis, National MTV News, Kokopo.
Food shops in Lae will be inspected by health inspectors from the Lae City Council to ensure food sold comply with the standard sanitation regulations. Today, a small food bar next to Lae Market was forced to shut down following poor sanitation in its kitchen. Lae City Manager Roy Kamen has condemned the shop for not complying with health standards.
Shop next to Lae's Market and bus stop has been serving customers in fast food buys over the years. Today, health authorities shut it down because it was dirty and unhygienic.
We will see if we can enforce the Pure Food Act and Food Sanitation Regulation 2007 effectively.
This is what it looked like in the kitchen area and the food storage rooms. Since last year, the Lae City Council had been issuing notices of closure to the business, but to no avail. This morning, health inspectors, accompanied by Lae City Manager Roy Kamen, ordered the shop owners to close up after they failed to comply with health regulations.
They have not complied to the warnings and the notices. That's why we obtained a court order to come in and shut this place down.
Some customers who have been buying food from the food bar have also raised complaints on the poor quality of food prepared and sold from this shop. The Lae City Council is embarking on a clean-up process to remove shops that are not meeting standard sanitation regulations. It expects to visit other local food bars in the province after this. Colin Barilai, National MTV News, Lae.
Well, National MTV News continues with Trukai Sports. That's coming up next, and we'll give you all the details after these short messages. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The PNG Pukpuks remain in first place on the 2015 Oceania Cup ladder with 2 wins under their belt. Tahiti, who sits in second place, will face a fronting American Samoa outfit in Game 1 on Sunday, while PNG takes on Solomon Islands at 3:30 p.m. While Solomon Islands are yet to perform, coach Philip Campbell says they will not rule themselves out and make sure his team puts on a physical game against the PNG Pukpuks.
Announced today in a press conference changes to their starting lineups due to a number of injuries sustained over the course of the tournament. The team to suffer the most, Tahiti, having lost prop Martin to A in Game 1 and now Christopher Joulain in the backline.
We have to change Christopher because he can't play because he is Mormon. He don't play on Sunday. We have changed Christopher. Vincent, our 12, it's not really, perhaps we have to wait the doctor decision to play. So we have to put Jean Tautu to play on center. But Jean, at the beginning, he started to playing rugby in center after he go prop. So he can play both.
The American Samoans, who fronted their first defeat against the PNG Pukpuks, have identified areas in which they can dominate come game day on Sunday against a red-hot Tahitian outfit.
If there's anything that we need to change on Sunday, we're going to lift the game up. We'll lift the game up, the level that they go, Tahiti and them, one of the best team in the tournament, and we'll go from there.
With Papua New Guinea the favourites for this year's Cup, Solomon Islands in previous years have barricaded a win for the Pukpuks, and they have been preparing for a physical affair.
This game will certainly be physical. We're not going to be changing anything. There will be a lot of aggression. Obviously, we've lost 2 games, and this game is more pride than anything. I know PNG, they're coming in the competition. They would like to take this title, and it won't be easy for them. I guarantee you that. Our boys certainly will be up there for the challenge. So yeah, come Sunday, it should be a good 80 minutes of rugby.
With one hand already on the cup, PNG Pukpuk's coach Sydney Wesley has no concerns with his current team and lineup for their final game on Sunday.
We want change at the moment. That's Jonah Kautu. He's struck down by fever or malaria. So he'll be out of the team on Sunday, but we've got able replacements there, and I think it showed on Sunday as well, where Libet Swang slotted in at the back, and yeah, he did quite.
And in his debut at captaining the PNG Pukpuks, Tisa Kautu has called for support with a very special message to PNG rugby fans.
Sabotab lo PNG Pukpuks, such stop nothing lows, please come on lo, Ibet Marina. Puti sabot lo PNG Pukpuks na, paimi winis la cup back na, olimle, omgrong.
Through the hands and they'll score! Lorraine Genia, National EMTV Sports.
Well, kickoff time remains unchanged for the PNG Pukpuks at 3:30 p.m. as they take on Solomon Islands at the Sir Hubert Murray Stadium here in Port Moresby. Matches will be streamed online and televised live on EMTV. Well, True Guy Sports continues after this break. Stay with us.
True Guy Sports.
Good to have you back with True Guy Sports. The Brisbane Broncos opened round 25 with a massive win over the South Sydney Rabbitohs 47 points to 12 at Allianz Stadium last night. The reigning premiers had no answer for the Broncos' onslaught as they succumbed to an unsung Brisbane side. In Friday Night Football tonight, the Manly Sea Eagles will have to dig deep when they lock claws with the red-hot Sydney Roosters. The Roosters are looking to remain on the top of the ladder and will not hold back against the Sea Eagles.
The Broncos proved why they are grand final contenders again last night when they demolished the South Sydney Rabbitohs 47 points to 12.
To the 10, he fends, he steps, he passes, long, they've got to get there surely. Yes, they go in to score, Brisbane.
Brisbane's halves Ben Hunt and Anthony Milford were instrumental in the 35-point win, scoring 5 tries between them. And to add to Hunt's delight, he picked up his first NRL hat-trick.
They're coming after him. He's got support. He heard from behind. The sound, I think it's Ben Hunt, is it?
The Broncos now jump back to the top of the table and the Rabbitohs at 4th, with the final round of competition next week before the finals. Tonight we'll see the Sea Eagles go head-to-head with the Sydney Roosters. Sitting 9th on the ladder, Manly will be desperate for a win this evening to see them sneak back into the top 8, not far from the finals. But they have a mammoth task against an informed Roosters team who are battling for the top spot on the ladder. This evening's match should go right down to the wire. Dion Kombang, National EMTV Sports.
Still in Rugby League, the Leigh City Bombers are expected to make a bid for the Intercity Cup season next year. While they have yet to confirm their bid, there are strict compliance guidelines. Under Intercity Cup regulations, the competition committee has marked one team per province to participate in a semi-professional competition. The guidelines ensure that all provincial clubs have equal participation. Leigh-based Snacks Tigers are the current team representing Morabit Province. The Bombers, if confirmed, will join Simba Warriors to bid for next season. Well, the Papua New Guinea's men's #1 squash player, Madako Suwari Jr., has been appointed team manager by the PNG Olympic Committee at the Youth Olympic Games, Commonwealth Games rather, in Apia, Samoa. His added experience will prove useful to guide and manage the junior athletes. MTV's Rafaela Kawe reports.
Madako Suwari Jr. was part of the 2015 Pacific Games and represent PNG in the men's division, winning silver. He described his role as a mentor and friend to the rest of his fellow athletes, that he is willing to carry out his responsibility as a team manager and will work alone with the 2 young athletes.
Likes of Lynette Vai and Robin Morave, who will be traveling to the Youth Commonwealth Games in Apia, Samoa next week. I think they are good ambassadors for youth young ones in the country to help take up sports like squash, and hopefully we use these facilities and build on our new players that will come up.
He said, although the sport of squash has less interest, the court has shown the potential of reviving code of squash in PNG through the achievement and success at the Pacific Games.
In the last 8 years, squash has gone down, and in the last 2 years, we've tried to scramble a team together and build it up for the Pacific Games. And with the government support, we've did well at these games. And in the last games in Numia, squash didn't get any medals, and at these games, we've got a lot of medals. And with that, squash is, I think, gonna be back, and with these new facilities that the government has built, we can help develop squashes.
The squash team will leave on the 1st of September under the guidance of Marako Soari Jr. for the Youth Commonwealth Games in Apia, Samoa. Rafaela Kaure, National EMTV Sports.
Well, that's the way we wrap up True Guys Sports tonight, but stay tuned. We have the weather details. That's coming up next.
True Guys Sports. True Guys Sports.
Taking a quick look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in southern region, cloudy periods expected in the nation's capital and Alotau. In Momase, fine weather expected in Whanimo and Wewak, cloudy periods in Ley City. In the New Guinea Islands, mostly fine weather plus windy patterns expected in Lorengau. And lastly, in the Islands region, all centres to look forward to fine weather, then morning fog. Now, before we go, a quick recap of our main stories again tonight. Brisbane conference ends with strong investor confidence in PNG. Also, plans for Jiwaka capital awaiting approval, and Prime Minister flags review on imported food ban. And that wraps up the bulletin for tonight. On behalf of the news team, I'm Tokana Hasavi Jr. Thanks for your company. You have a safe and enjoyable weekend. Good night.